These are the assembly instructions for my satchel type case with folders and pockets. I'm going to start by putting some of my decorative panels on some of the larger pieces before I start building my piece. So I have two pieces like this with 3 tabs at the top. I'm just folding down on the score lines, and a score line that runs the width of this piece. I'm folding down on it. I'm doing the exact same thing for my second piece. Then I have the decorative panels for these two pieces. One of them is just a simple rectangle and the other one just fits below that score line. I'm just putting glue on the underside of my decorative panels and then just gluing them onto my base piece, trying to maintain an even border all the way around. And I'm going to do that for all 4 decorative panels. So now that these panels are decorated, I have 4 of these panels. Now these are the pockets at the front and at the back. So I'm folding out on the first score line at the side, and then I'm folding on the next one in the opposite direction. So an accordion fold, going to become a valley fold, and the next one is going to be a mountain fold. So your piece should look like this. I'm going to do that on the other side as well, folding downwards, then folding towards me, then folding downwards again. I'm going to do that on the long side, so that's the bottom of my pocket, folding downwards, upwards, and downwards again. And I'm going to do that for all 4 of these pieces. So now that I've folded down on all the score lines, I'm going to glue down my 4 decorative panels. If there's a direction to your pattern cardstock, make sure that it points upwards. I'm just gluing these panels between the score line and the upper edge, trying to maintain an even border all the way around. So while I'm at it, I'm going to form my little pockets. I'm going to flip my piece over so that I'm looking at the underside of it. I'm folding down that center V at the bottom and the center V at the side, and then I'm bringing my bottom piece upwards and then my side piece downwards. I'm going to put a little bit of glue just on that circular part on the corner and on the circular part that's on the side, and then I'm just folding that down. I want the bottom of my little circular piece to be even with the bottom of my pocket. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Just folding down both sides, putting glue on the semicircle and on the corner, and then putting glue on the other semicircle, and then pinching down on the bottom piece and folding that side piece over. The bottom of my side piece is flush with the bottom of my pocket. So that forms my pocket, and I'm going to do that 3 more times with the other pockets. So these 2 pieces are the box. I'm just folding down on the score lines for both pieces. And basically the way that this is constructed is the box is in the center, and then I have 2 identical pouches on either side. I'm putting glue on one of the side tabs from the score line to the end, and then I'm taking my other piece and I'm placing the cut edge of it right along the score line of that tab, making sure that the top and the score lines along the bottom are lined up. Then I'm going to flip my piece over. I am folding down on that second score line and putting glue all over the other side tab. And then I'm folding the other end over and matching up the cut edge of that side to the score line on my tab. And then I'm flipping my piece over so that I'm looking at the bottom of it. I'm just going to fold these down temporarily so you can see what I'm doing. I'm putting glue on both of those small tabs, and then I'm folding down the top flap. Then I'm putting glue all over that bottom flap, and I'm folding it over, making sure that the cut edge of that flap is right along the score line of the first flap and the edges are along the score line of the tabs. Then I'm going to flip my piece over, and I'm just going in there with my bone folder and spreading that glue. So next I have my handle pieces. I have 6 handle pieces. 2 of them have 3 cutouts, and those are the ones I'm going to work on now. Then I have 2 handles cut out of cardstock, and then there's 2 handle pieces that should be cut out of craft board. I actually used 110-pound cardstock for this because it matched up nicely with the cardstock that I was using. I'm going to take those panels that I decorated earlier with the 3 tabs at the top, and I'm going to insert the tabs into one of my handle pieces like so. I want to make sure that the edges are nice and flush. I'm going to flip my piece over. I'm putting glue on all 3 of those tabs, and then I am folding them down onto the underside of my handle piece. And I'm doing that with my second handle piece. So at the bottom of my handle piece, I have 3 tabs. I'm just folding down on those 3 tabs in both directions. Then I'm going to take the 2 handle pieces that are cut out of the heavier cardstock, either your craft board or the 110-pound cardstock. I'm covering it in glue, and then I'm laying my piece right on top. I want the edges to be flush, and I'm going in with my bone folder and I'm just spreading that glue. And I'm doing that with the second handle piece as well. So next I have my other handle pieces that are cut out of cardstock, and I'm folding on the score lines at the bottom to create those 3 tabs. I'm going to flip my decorated piece over. So I'm covering the other side in glue. I've got the right side of my cardstock facing upwards, and I'm just gluing it, and I'm doing that with the other one as well. I have 3 pieces that go on the bottom of my project. One of them has 6 cutouts, and that's the one I'm going to work on first. So next I have these 2 rectangular pieces with a score line at the bottom, and I've just folded down on that score line to create a tab. And I'm just putting glue all along that tab. I'm tucking the tab underneath my bottom piece. I want the score line of the piece on my right to run just along the edge of my bottom piece. And my pieces are even at the top and even at the bottom. And I'm doing that with the second piece as well, but on the left-hand side. So next I'm taking my box piece and I'm putting glue all over one side of my box. And then I'm taking one of my decorated handle pieces. I'm lining up my handle piece so that the bottom corners of my panel match up perfectly with the bottom corners of my box. And the edges should be flush. Then I'm going to flip my piece over, and I'm going in with my bone folder to spread that glue. Then I'm going to flip my piece around, and I'm going to do that on the second side as well. I'm covering the entire side of my box in glue, and I'm taking that second handle piece and I'm matching up the corners at the bottom. So the bottom corners of my handle piece are right on the bottom corner of my box. Then I'm flipping my piece over, and again I'm going in with my bone folder and spreading all of that glue. So next I'm flipping my piece over, and I have these 12 tabs that are on the bottom, and I'm putting glue all over that space that's between those 2 sets of tabs. So it's the bottom of my box. And then I'm taking my bottom piece and I'm flipping it over so that I'm looking at the underside of it. And then I'm pinching my tabs and inserting them into the slots that are at the bottom of my box. So I want both sides of my bottom panel to be even with the edge of my box, and I'm just pressing down on my bottom piece. Then I'm folding over those tabs. I'm putting glue on the underside of all of them and folding them down and adhering them to that bottom panel. And I'm doing that with the tabs in the center too. So next I'm going to glue down my bottom pieces. I'm starting with that heavier material piece. I'm putting glue all over it. I'm matching up the corners and the edges right over that bottom piece. And I'm flipping my piece over, and I'm just spreading that glue. And then I have my cardstock piece, and I'm just gluing it right on top. Now, if you're going to be putting heavy materials in this, you could actually add a few more layers of a sturdier material underneath. So next I have 4 rectangles that have rectangular scores towards the bottom of them. And the rectangular scores are there to help me position my pocket pieces. Glue all along the 3 edges of my pocket piece, positioning my pocket so that it's within the score lines. And I'm doing that with all 4 of my panels. So now I have to decide if I like the red on the outside or the darker color. Decisions. I'm going with the darker color. So I'm putting glue on the underside of my panel with the pocket, and then I'm folding up that front flap and just gluing it on, placing it so there's approximately an even border around all 4 sides. I can still lay my piece flat and spread that glue. Now I'm going to flip my piece over and do the same thing on the other side, putting glue all over the panel and gluing that panel to the flap that's on the other side. And so that's basically the frame of my caddy already built up. Now we're going to work on the interior of it. So next I have 2 rectangles with a series of score lines down them, and I'm just folding down on all those score lines. I'm not worrying about direction yet. So I've already folded up one of my pieces. So on one side I'm creating 4 tabs to glue my folders to, and the other side is flat. The easiest way to explain this is I'm going to flip my piece over. So I'm looking at the underside of it. I'm going to skip the first panel, and I want to glue these 2 panels together. Then I'm skipping this panel. I'm gluing these 2 together. I'm skipping the next one, and these 2 get glued together, skipping this one, and then these 2 get glued together. So this is the underside. I'm folding them so that I'm bringing these 2 sides together. I can put glue all over one side, bring the other side over, pinching them together, and it's so much easier if you flip your piece over and just sort of bring those bottoms together and hold them in place. So I'm flipping my piece over again. This time these 2 have to be glued together, so I'm going to have to fold to bring them together. I'm folding on either side to bring those two sides together. So I'm putting glue in the groove that I've created, and then I'm flipping my piece over and again, and then just pressing down on both sides until the glue takes. I'm going to flip my piece over again, working on those next two. I'm putting glue all over them, bringing them together like so, flipping my piece over, and then spreading that glue with my fingers. I've got my last one here, and I'm just folding on the surrounding score lines to create that groove, putting glue all over. You can put on both sides or one side, it doesn't really matter. And then flipping my piece over, spreading that glue. And so there it is. I have the 4 tabs for my file on one side. So next I have 2 rectangular pieces with a rectangular score line in the center. I'm just going to put glue on the underside of the pieces that I've just assembled. I'm just positioning as best as I can between those score lines that are on the base. And then I'm going in with my bone folder, spreading that glue. I'm going to do that with the other one as well. There are 16 of these to create 8 folders. And for these, all you have to do is fold down on the score line that's at one side. I'm going to do that for all 16 of them. So I'm just putting glue on that side tab from the score line to the edge, gluing the cut edge of my second piece right to that score line. And so the top and the bottom should match up nicely. I have my piece upside down. I'm putting glue on that second tab and then just gluing it down. So that's one done. I have 8 of them to do the exact same way. So now that I've assembled my folders, I'm going to take the bottom piece for my folders. I'm going to start by gluing in the pieces in the center. I'm choosing one of the middle ones and putting glue all along both sides of it, so the front and the back. And then I'm taking my folder and placing it over where I've put that glue. And then I'm just checking on my panel to make sure that I've got it more or less centered horizontally, and then I'm pinching down just at the bottom of my folder where I know that glue is. I can take my bone folder, Cricut scraper, and I'm just kind of spreading that glue. So next I'm moving to the tab that's in front of it, and I'm putting glue on the back of it and on the front. And I'm grabbing another one of my folders and I'm placing it so that the edges are even with the one that's behind it. And then I'm pinching my folder in place. And then again, I'm going in with my Cricut tool and I'm just spreading that glue. So the base of my folder is glued to that tab, both on the front and at the back. So I'm doing the same thing for my folder at the front. And so next I'm doing the exact same thing for the tab that's at the back. So I've got one side done. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the second side. So this is the inside of my caddy, and I have my folder pieces covering the underside of the bottom panel with glue. And I'm gluing it down just past that front panel, and I'm using my bone folder to spread that glue. And I'm doing the exact same thing on the other side. And then I have my pocket pieces, so I'm putting glue on the underside, and then trying to center it as best I can, leaving an even border all the way around. And I'm doing that on the other side as well. So I'm going to glue down some larger pockets. So these pockets are just a larger version of the other pockets that I've already glued down. So I'm just folding down on all the score lines. So once I've folded down the score lines, I am gluing down the decorative panels. And then, like for the other pockets, I'm flipping my piece over. So I've got it upside down. I'm folding in the sides and the bottom. Then I'm bringing that bottom flap down, putting glue on the semicircle in the corner, putting glue on the semicircle that's on the side, and then folding it over. And I'm doing that on the other side as well, putting glue on the semicircle, the corner, and the semicircle on the side, and then folding my side tab over. And I'm assembling my second pocket the exact same way. So now I'm opening my box. I'm putting glue all along the 3 edges of my pocket piece. And then I'm sliding it right into the center, centering it horizontally as best I can. I'm pinching from that center box and applying pressure, and also go in with my bone folder, apply pressure at the very bottom to make sure that that glue takes. And I'm going to do that with the second pocket as well. So next I have these little embellishing pieces for the top of my handle. I'm just putting glue on the underside of them and then just gluing them down, trying to maintain an even border all the way around. So next I'm using some thin clear fasteners. These are Velcro circles that measure 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just matching up my 2 sides of my Velcro. I'm taking the liner off one side. I'm positioning my Velcro, trying to center it as much as I can underneath that front flap, and then I'm removing the liner off the sticky part. I'm positioning my front flap and my pocket piece exactly where I want them to be, and then I'm going in with my Cricut tool and just separating the Velcro, and then I'm applying a little bit more pressure just to make sure that my Velcro piece takes. And so now I'm going to do that with the other side as well. So next I have these flat back rhinestones, jewels. I have them in a larger size and a smaller size. You could use buttons here. You could cut circles out of cardstock. It's just an embellishment. I'm doing my best to center, and then I'm putting the smaller version on the pocket underneath. I'm doing that on both sides. Then I have these little decorative pieces I'm going to put around the handles. I'm just covering the underside in glue and gluing them in. I have my two small versions that I made with very different types of cardstock. I made a much larger version. Now this one can fit envelopes and cards.